These are the thoughts of a dying girl as the sirens take her away. I deserve it. Someone who looks like me should have never fallen for someone as beautiful as you. It hurts. I can't breathe. Make it stop. Just let me die. The EMT's voice telling her to hang on and that they were almost there slowly faded. And this girl was fine with it because nothing good happened when she was alive. She prayed to God that in the next life she'd be more beautiful. Yumiko Koda woke up to her parents calling her name, feeling relieved that she survived, but not expecting her to ask them who they were. This girl didn't know a girl named Yumiko, much less these people she'd never seen before. Apparently, Yumiko had tried a self-end attempt, but she had no idea why she'd do that. She asked for a mirror, but the parents didn't keep any, since Yumiko hated mirrors. So, the mother handed over her phone instead, telling her not to break it like last time. And seeing her face, Yumiko gushed over how cute she was. The parents were in shock as she marveled over her porcelain skin, cute, sparkly, puppy-like eyes, and her cherry-like lips. She compared herself to Snow White waking up from slumber. Pause. Wait a minute, hold up. I'm not the type of person who likes commenting on people's appearances, but let me get this straight. So fat, ugly girl dies and wants to be reincarnated as someone more beautiful, then gets reincarnated as another fat girl, except blonde, and she thinks she's beautiful? What in the shoujo delulu is this? The doctor explained her condition as retrograde amnesia, likely due to the brain damage caused by her fall. This is real, by the way. Actually happened to an old friend of mine who tried the same thing. Her mother felt grief, worried about what the neighbors would think. Her father told his wife not to say that though, and to be more thoughtful of Yumiko's suffering. It was a miracle she survived falling 4 stories, and she was elated. She could still talk and was physically fine. She even had family, so she wasn't alone. They were so surprised to see their daughter was so cheerful. Her room was messy, but she thought it was nice. Her wardrobe could use some sprucing up, but she still thought it was cute. She remembered there were no mirrors, since Yumiko didn't like them, and went through her phone to try to get more clues. She found a file that read, "My happy place," and it contained all photos of the same person. She couldn't believe this was the kind of person she was before. A knock on the door. Her mother asked when she was going back to work, and with Yumiko learning she was 24 years old, she was happy to hear she was an adult, and perhaps, possibly, a woman in love, or maybe a career-minded professional woman. She decided she was going back to work the next day. On her way in the morning, she spotted a park that she was compelled to go through. She had no idea why though, and she'd spot the boy on her phone, panting behind a bush. She asked if they'd met before, only to find out they were complete strangers. He told her not to worry, considering he always got like this before work. So, in an attempt to help him, she offered water she cupped in her hands from a fountain. But of course, who would want that? She tried telling him he should take the day off, and used herself being on the verge of death as an example. Since she was in tip-top shape now, she could see the dark circles around his eyes, and told him to get some sleep. Otherwise, he'd let his pretty face go to waste. He was at a loss, but then chuckled, replying she was funny. This made her flush, and she was certain he was fine now, since he had the energy to flirt. But she couldn't flirt with him right now, since she had to go to work. Running off, she wondered why her face was so warm. Another man called our handsome male lead vice president, and now he was all fine. In the office, everyone was stunned because Yumiko seemed so different. She explained she completely lost her memory and had no clue who she was. So, Chief Hiroki Maizono, head of her office, the planning division, would help her whenever she needed. She'd look at her hand, seeing a large amount of sweat, and wondered if she was nervous for some reason. Getting led by her colleague Saki, Yumiko learned she never really spoke up much. It made her wonder if she was a nuisance previously, but she'd decide to remain positive regardless. During a meeting, the topic was about summer-exclusive potato chips, and this made her stomach rumble. Her cohorts were all short on ideas, and so was she. She went through her bag and pulled out an idea notebook, and turning the page from one filled with many ideas was another with a lot of self-loathing. It read things like, "Someone fat like me planning sweets? What a joke. Worthless. Pigs shouldn't talk." She couldn't believe she hated herself so much, and wondered if she lived her entire life putting herself down. But no more. she got up to give her idea. Summer meant watermelons, shaved ice, and ramune soda. So she suggested colorful flavored powder be made from those and put onto chips. Two of her male colleagues thought that sounded gross, and I'm with them. But Saki liked it. Even though the idea would be polarizing, it'd blow up on social media. With the meeting ending, Yumiko looked back at her notes and felt bad for her past self, but also thanked her for her ideas, because this meeting was a success. She then wrote new affirming words, reading, "Don't worry, it's okay, you're a genius." She then get a phone call and was shocked to hear it was Officer Tanigawa from the Aoyama Police Department. She was concerned they might know about her secret photos, but turns out regarding her case, they initially presumed it was a self-end attempt, but now had reason to believe it was attempted murder. They found her fingerprints on the railing of the emergency staircase at the scene, but the placement didn't suggest she jumped on her own. They wanted to hear more from her later. She wondered who would try to kill her. Was the man from this morning a secret undercover spy? Was he trying to eliminate her because she had pictures of him? Or perhaps were there men fighting over her love? Oh wait, maybe it was a woman in love with one of those men who tried to kill her out of jealousy. That aside, she was too hungry to keep thinking about this. At lunch break, the guys were swarming to have lunch with Saki. Yumiko would break through the crowd to thank her for the support during the meeting today. And with Saki saying she just wanted to back her up, since she was usually quiet, the guys gushed over her beauty and great personality, even calling her an angel. However, Yumiko thought they were talking about her, even though they weren't. She quickly pulled Saki to have lunch with her, and Yumiko's lunch size was everything you'd expect. Like, this would be a bit much, even for a 180-pound guy like myself. She was so voracious, she stole another one of her coworkers' croquettes. One of them asked if this is why she was so fat, but she wouldn't put it that way, replying that she was able to maintain her proportions because she gets plenty to eat. Saki would then say she wished she could be like Yumiko, but her face gets so round if she overeats. Is this some kind of backhanded womanly diss? Yumiko was obliviously positive, explaining women become even more attractive with a bit of extra weight, and this made all the guys laugh. Continuing to work, Yumiko was getting sleepy, so Saki offered things and techniques to stay awake. Going through her desk with notebooks, Saki would look through Yumiko's notes in a sort of empty and disturbing way. And when the chief would tell Yumiko he decided to go with her idea for the chips, Saki seemed not so happy, and Yumiko picked up on this. By evening time, Yumiko was thinking about the boys from this morning. She wanted to buy some new, fresh clothes, in case they met again. She assumed the old her was in love with him, but perhaps didn't have the confidence to talk to him. Who she was now knew just what to do. The next morning, she'd search for him in her new dress, and finding him on a bench, he'd get up to greet her. She tried pulling water she bought for him out of her bag, but turns out, he brought his own this time. His smile was so pretty, she wanted it as her home screen. The two made small talk, and we learned he stops by here every morning. He'd learned that she lost her memory recently, and even though this shocked him, she was bright and positive, saying every day was like an adventure now. He found her to be such a joy, and told her he was hoping they could become friends. Ending their meeting, he said, "Let's meet again." She was in a daze over his words at work. Unfortunately, she forgot to ask his name, but thought it was probably more romantic that way. When Saki would come to greet her, Yumiko tried to bring up her pitch for a new product, but for some reason, Saki would run away. While in the toilet, she wondered if she had said something wrong. She'd then overhear her coworkers gossiping, saying, apparently, that fat girl from Section 1 got her idea approved. And even hearing she was more outgoing now because of her memory loss, that it was too bad she couldn't change being ugly and fat. But at least she was better than Pick-Me Saki. Supposedly, Pick-Me Saki's ideas have never been approved. Man, are girls this mean privately? Let me know in the comments. Yumiko burst out of the stall, wiggled her way out since she was too fat to walk straight through the door. She scolded the two, asking what was wrong with Saki being popular with men. She worked both hard at her job and appearance, and Yumiko was confident Saki would turn in a great idea in no time. Then, Yumiko started to glaze herself, saying her face and body were gifted to her by God, and she'd understand why they'd be jealous. But was sure the two of them still had wonderful qualities, and told them to be more confident in themselves. They shrunk back, responding, "Yes, ma'am." But Saki wasn't so happy having heard it all. She uttered to herself, "Who do you think you are? You used to just be a quiet, gloomy, fat girl. You should have stayed that way. Okay, I'm betting she's the murder suspect. Back to work, Yumiko opened her drawer and was shocked to see all her idea notebooks were gone. Alright, what a start to the series. I think I can kind of see the angle the writing is going for here. At first, I thought it was reincarnation, but I'm getting a sense that she actually did lose her memories. The kind of story that'll be told is something like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, where previously Yumiko saw herself as ugly, but with a different perspective, like the loss of her memories, she sees herself as beautiful. Look, just because by societal standards someone is fat and ugly, I don't believe they're undeserving of love. Life is not so serious, and I like the fact that this Yumiko chooses the lens of not seeing anything so serious either, constantly being a bit delulu and calling herself beautiful, as a way for the writer to not take things so seriously as well. Would love to hear your thoughts, subscribe for more content, and remember to hype the video. For now though, watch this next video. It's me, ComfyTea. I'll see you all in the next one.